Seiza, our seat of meditation. Let's take a moment to allow all of that information to settle. There's a lot to consider when there are so many layers to being a human being. There's so many layers to being a society. There's so many layers to being a man. There's so many layers to being a woman. There are more layers to being this color and that color, this culture, that culture. There are many layers. And when those layers are all moving through the mind like a washing machine, it's kind of hard to make distinctions. It's hard to be critical of our own thoughts and our own biases. So we've got to let it settle. We've got to listen, because meditation is primarily the practice of listening. There is nothing else that it really does other than create inside a human being the ability to sit and concentrate and witness. It has no other general function. But this also makes it incredibly difficult to do, to listen, to sit and be quiet and be still. Listen to the silence between the words. Listen to the temperature of the room. Listen to the birds, to the cars. Listen to that bead of sweat rolling down. We can listen with every one of our senses until they merge into each other and we're just simply one witness. What we have a deficit of right now in the world is listening. We're terrible listeners. We refuse collectively to practice listening. It's so much easier to project, to talk, to express our energy through emotion, through opinions, through preferences, through beliefs. And our weakest muscle is our listening muscle, because we don't sit enough. We are not still enough. We are not quiet enough. And when we are, we're driven crazy by that. How many people were disturbed by the corona experience of being quiet and being alone, being still? This too caused people distress, being quiet, being still. Now, rather than leaving the witness state, let's just extend the witness state throughout our entire practice. So we're not going to end our meditation. We're going to stay in meditation. We're going to stay in listening for the entire practice. So let's find the breath. Find that steady inhalation through the nose. Steady exhale through the nose. Ujjayi breathing. Steady inhale. Feel the belly expand. On the inhale, ribs expand, back expands. And on the exhale, navel presses towards the spine, shoulders soften, chest softens, belly softens. And on the inhale, expansion from the belly to the ribs, to the back, to the shoulders. And on the exhale, releasing, softening, navel pressing towards spine. And again, finding the inhale and finding the exhale. Finding the inhale, finding the exhale. Now stay with the breath as you now expand the movement into the upper trunk. I want you to start maybe rolling the shoulders a bit first. The neck as well. Begin to first bring awareness and attention to the joints of the upper trunk. The spine, the shoulders, the elbow, the wrists, the fingers. Begin to expand, contract, circle, lengthen, reach. This is completely interpretive on your part. All you're doing is breathing and discovering. You're just staying curious through your practice. Just be curious. Notice where you might have tension. Notice where you may have some stuck energy. Breathe into it, move through it. Bring some awareness to it. There are no limitations to what you can do right now. Feel free to express yourself any way you want. This is your time. It's your body. Nobody knows your body like you do right now. What you've been through yesterday, today, all of that cumulatively affects how you showed up today. So it's up to you to begin to move through the body like you're calibrating the machine, preparing it to perform. Steady breath and awareness. Noticing all the subtle things. Circles, extension, spiral, rotation, contraction, expansion, breath, inhale, exhale. It's a dance. It's a beautiful dance through the body, hydrating the joints, all the rotation, all the circling, bringing blood flow to the joints. This is how we prepare the body. We bring blood flow to the soft tissue, but we really want to bring it especially into the joints where there is less vascular soft tissue. So it takes more effort to bring blood flow to that area. And that's why we so often have injuries in the joints. That's why it takes so long to heal injuries in the joints. It's very important that you lengthen, that you make strong all of the soft tissue that overlaps, supports, and sustains the joint. Stay with the breath. It is as relevant as stretching. The breath continues the circulation. It continues the heart in its support of pumping the blood through the system. Now let's begin to find our way to all fours. Take your time, but begin to transition in that direction so that we can all meet in some type of 4-point base. And from the 4-point base, I want you to play a little bit. Just examine the 4-point base for a moment. Knees can be down, hands can be down. Your focal point right now is to basically have your belly facing downward. So you're in a prone position, hands and feet under you, so you can start to feel your ability to push the earth away. It's gravity. You're playing with gravity now. You're beginning to explore how you feel carrying your body away from the earth. And when we're babies, and we have very little developed muscle, the earth is incredibly compelling. It's calling us. It's hard to push away from it. And we spend a great deal of our life trying to push away from the earth. And as we get older, we begin to find ourselves being called back again towards the earth. So in some ironic way, it's always this beautiful dance we do between the sky and the ground, trying to stay up in some way. And yet, there's so much for us down there. It's a beautiful irony in some way that the ground is where we came from and where we go to and where we return to, and how much we fight not to be there as adults. You know, you're growing up, you tell your children, get off the ground, stand up, don't get dirty. We tell our kids, oh, let's sit in chairs, let's sit in desks. We don't sit on the ground anymore. We almost, in a way, begin to shame each other, suggesting that the ground is dirty. The earth is not where you want to be up, away from it. When in fact, all of our greatest lessons are down on it. And from this 4-point base, I want you to begin to explore your downward facing dog, or your this high 4-point base position. If you're a yoga practitioner, maybe you would call this down dog. If you're just a mover or a fitness enthusiast of some nature, you just understanding this possibly is just a 4-point base. But the idea here is to not get stuck in any particular variation of it. There's no right or wrong 4-point base. There's simply ways to be on all fours. So your work right now is the discovery of those ways. Maybe you widen your hands, maybe you widen your feet, maybe you step a foot forward, extend a foot back. But the idea here is not to be, in a way, predictable. Don't let yourself constantly return over and over to patterns, break patterns, change patterns, examine patterns. That's critical thinking. New problems create new solutions. New solutions also create new problems. So it's interesting to examine a 4-point base in this manner. Try not to be terribly unoriginal with your practice. See if you can find something that is very much you, very original. Stay with your breath. Continue to discover and be curious about where the tension may lie. Heating up the shoulders, the joints, preparing them for the work ahead. Staying in this meditative state of self-observation, self-adjustment, self-awareness. Doesn't matter what your neighbor's doing. Doesn't matter what you've been told to do, what your experience tells you. You can't discover anything new if you don't look for what you don't know that you don't know. And that's found by being profoundly and sincerely curious. Now, from downward facing dog, let's all come to a bit of a still moment. We're just going to find ourselves in that 4-point base. And now we're going to start entering into our sequence. So our first transition is going to be our rolling wave. So the first thing I want you to do is, from your downward facing dog or high 4-point base, elevate your heels off the floor. Keep pushing back through your upper trunk. So keep drawing your chest towards the floor even as your heels are high. And now find your pubic bone with your navel. So fire your pelvic floor and draw your pubic bone towards your navel and start rolling forward vertebra by vertebra through your spine. All the way forward until you get into this big cobra hood or shoulder press protracted position, and start rooting your hips or your pubic bone downward towards the floor. And roll through your spine, vertebra by vertebra, up and into a floating upward facing dog. With your breath, draw your chin to your chest. Press the ground away, spread the scapula, press, 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 rising up and rolling back vertebra by vertebra through the spine. Root the heels to the floor. Beautiful. Bend the knees. Look forward. I want you to get into a vertical squat. So I want you to lower down, really lower down, and look forward. And I want you to float your feet to the outsides of your hands. Float and land in a prayer squat. Beautiful. That's the work. That's the work. Okay, that was a nice warm-up. Take a moment here. I want you to be in an active squat, not a passive squat. Do not be relaxed here. I want you to be firing and lengthening the spine upward, firing the quads. Beautiful. Holding here for a moment. Now, I want you to create a little bit, use your elbows on the insides of your knees, and I want you to just create a little bit of tension and pressure there. Push open. Beautiful. Open it up. Open it up. Excellent. And now, bring your fingertips to the floor, and I want you to slowly, very, very slowly, begin to draw the hips to the sky. Extending the legs. Take your time. Don't rush. Don't rush. Don't rush. Slow and steady. And you're in a forward fold with your fingertips touching. Now, equally as thoughtful and graceful, heel to toe the feet together towards each other. Slow, steady, heel to toe transition. Beautiful. Now forward fold. Take a moment just to hang here for a second. Pedal the feet. Relax. Let gravity do a little bit of this work. Let the legs be soft if you need them. Extend them when you want to. Allow the upper trunk to simply drape forward, hinge forward, and lengthen the back line. If your back line is tight, it's okay for you to even get a little deeper into this. I'm going to even encourage this now. Everybody bend your knees. Soft, and bring your chest all the way to your thighs. Now hug your legs. Connect the chest and the thighs. Hug. Beautiful. You can grab the heels. You can wrap the arms around the legs. And now from here with this connection, I want you to pulse. Just play with the lengthening of the legs as far as you can take it. Everybody's going to be different. Let's just see what you can create there. Breath and calm. Don't rush. Slow. See if you can lengthen just a little bit. See what you can find. And soften and extend. So there's a little bit of play here. Lengthening. And shortening. Contracting and expanding. And now, begin to, with the knees softly bent, begin to create a bit of a wave in the spine. Start to undulate the spine a little bit. So you're still in the forward fold. Now you're just allowing a little bit of extension, almost like you're headed to a flat back, and you're rolling back down again. So undulating the spine. Rolling between the forward fold and the flat back position. Nice and steady breath. Witness work, meditation, concentration, focus, feel, notice, be aware. And on your final undulation, start rolling all the way up to the top. Take so much care and time in this transition. There's no rush. Just simply roll it up vertebra by vertebra by vertebra to the top. And once you reach the top, take a moment for you. Discovery time. The arms can sweep up, can open, can circle. Anything you want. But take a moment while you're standing erect, tall and long, to find what you are seeking in this, which is typically, for each of us, it's something different, but the commonalities are relief from tension, relief from pain. So how do you free yourself up from that without being willing to discover or go deep into the sensation? So extensions and twists, rotations, circles. And make sure you explore the full capacity of the spine's extension and flexion taking it around. Reach behind you with the spine, to the side, in front, circles, exploring its entire potential. It's not just limited to, a side stretch or a forward or a back reach. It's about circles. It's about spirals. And now, slowly begin to find your forward fold, your swan dive all the way down to the bottom, and take your last deep forward fold stretch. And it doesn't matter where your feet are. They can be close together. They can be wide apart. It's all variations of variations of variations. As long as your body feels good, you're doing it right. From here, I want you to bend your knees and sink down low, really low, as if you're headed into a very deep tuck, squatted position. Place your hands on the floor. Spread your fingers wide and begin shifting forward into your hands. I want you to just dance between your feet and your hands. Tip forward, tip back. Tip forward and tip back. Just kind of prepping your wrists, prepping your hands to carry all of this weight you're about to carry. If you're going to float back, your wrists need to be ready for it. Your arms need to be ready for it. Your fingers need to be ready for it. So gripping the ground. Again, tipping forward, tipping back, into the feet, into the hands. Preparation. And now, with the hands on the floor, hug your elbows to your thighs. If your knees should be tight in between your arms, hug your elbows tight. Start shifting your body forward. Look forward. Shift as if you're transitioning to a chaturanga. Look forward and slide or float, or hop the feet back and take it all the way down to your belly to prone position. Or slide your knees forward, or curl your toes under, lift your knees, slide them forward. It doesn't matter what order, but get that pelvis into an anterior tilt, and now start to transition from the anterior to the posterior tilt, and then begin to press the ground away. Find your cobra roll, rolling through the spine vertebra by vertebra to upward facing dog. So pubic bone to navel, begin to roll through the spine and find your upward facing dog. From here, chin draws to the chest, press the ground away, spread the scapula, fill in the space between the scapula, and turn the feet over one at a time. Find yourself in downward facing dog.